Always remember, when you're looking at a math video, always have your pen and your paper and your notebook for you to copy down what you are viewing. This question says that there are three functions, f, g, and h, and they are defined as f of x is equal to 2x minus 1, g of x is equal to 3x plus 2, and h of x is equal to 5 raised to the power of x. And this question is saying to find g inverse of x. So the first step to find g inverse of x is to write down the function g of x. So please write down what is g of x. To find what is g inverse of x, we first have to write down what is g of x. So that's the first step, write down what is g of x. So please copy this down. The second step, remember we're trying to find what is g inverse of x. So the first step is to write down the function g of x is equal to 3x plus 2, which we have written. The second step is to replace the notation g of x with the letter y. So here you have g of x, you put in its place y. So you have to write y is equal to 3x plus 2. That is the second step. So please write this down. Now we have written down what is y is equal to 3x plus 2. The third step is to swap the letters x and y. So you can actually sense the inverse is actually happening. So all where you have y, you put in its place x, and all where you have x, you put in its place y. You swap the letters x and y. So now you also have x is equal to 3y plus 2. So please take this down. So now the fourth step now is to rearrange this equation, x is equal to 3y plus 2, to make y the subject. So now we have to try to get y by itself to make y the subject. So the next step is to rearrange this equation to make y the subject, to get y by itself. So to clarify a question, there was a question which is where that y came out. All of a sudden, you start with g of x is equal to 3x plus 2. Here it is, g of x is equal to 3x plus 2. And all of a sudden, you have y is equal to 3x plus 2. Why is it possible to, in the place of g of x, put the letter y? Let's look at English. Let's say you have a noun, Mr. Brown, and you write in a paragraph. It will be a kind of redundancy to write Mr. Brown every time. You say Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown woke up in the morning. Then Mr. Brown made a cup of coffee. Then Mr. Brown went to take a bath. It kind of clumsy. You say, then he went to take a bath. He put on his work clothes. He went, So it's the same thing. You can look at y as a pronoun for g of x. Just like how you have he replacing Mr. Brown. He is a pronoun for Mr. Brown. Y serving the same purpose. Okay, it's something like that. Now, in the third step, you're going to swap the letters x and y. Now, in the fourth step, you're going to try to get that letter y by itself. You're going to make y the subject to get it by itself. Remember, we're finding the inverse of the function. So we have to rearrange this to get y by itself. First, we start with the plus 2. To cancel out the plus 2, we have to subtract 2. Now, if you subtract 2 on the right side, you have to subtract 2 on the left side. Whatever you do on one side, you have to repeat it on the other side. We are doing this to get y by itself. So we have to cancel out plus 2, and then we're going to cancel out 3. But to cancel out a plus 2, we have to do the opposite of plus 2, which is subtract 2. And if you subtract 2 on the right, you have to subtract 2 on the left. So please write this down. That's the process of rearranging to make y the subject, to get y by itself. First step is to subtract 2. So now, as you can clearly see, plus 2 is cancelled out from the right side. And what you have on the left side now is x minus 2. So on the right side, it was a plus 2, but on the left side now, it is a minus 2. Now we're going to cancel out that 3. The 3 is multiplying to y. The opposite of multiply is divide. So in order to cancel out that multiplying 3, we have to divide by 3. A division of 3 that will cancel out of 3 that is multiplied. And if you divide by 3 on the right, we have to divide by 3 on the left. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do it on the other side of the equation for it to balance. So we must divide by 3 on the right side. So please copy this down. So therefore, 3 divided by 3, if 3 is cancelled out, and we are left with y is equal to x subtract 2 divided by 3. So please copy this down. Now we have gotten y as a subject. We have gotten y by itself. And the final step now is to replace the letter y with g inverse of x, because that's what we're trying to find in the first place. So the final step now is to replace the letter y with g inverse of x. And g inverse of x is equal to x minus 2 over 3. And that will be the final answer.